Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Lane Frame Podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now in episode number 49, everybody. It's for 49 episodes through, and we got so much to discuss on this action-packed episode. NFL Week 2 is wrapped up, College Football Week 3 is also wrapped up. We're going to have John Middlekauff, host of the 3 and Out podcast, joining us later, and so much more. Stay tuned for Schoolyard Sports Lane Frank, episode number 49. Stay tuned. Now, let's start with episode number 49, how we always do, with our headlines. And the NFL, there's so much news to discuss after an action-packed week 2, everybody. Okay, my New York Giants, everybody, go on Thursday Night Football, go to Washington, and Dexter Lawrence gets called offsides. But was he really offsides? You know, there's some clips, it was perfectly timed, but the referee just called an offsides because it was perfectly timed. Tough to tell if it was offsides or not. But the Giants did lose in Thursday Night Football. It wasn't the only mistake. That's my takeaway from that game. Darius Slayton could have had a better game. Could have made that touchdown catch. Daniel Jones, I loved how Daniel Jones played, but still some errors to clean up there, and not a Pro Bowl quarterback looked like in that game. Still a good quarterback looking like that game, just maybe not a franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's why I want to add Daniel Jones, to be a franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback. Can he be that? Still be determined. Some people could say absolutely not. Some could say, give him a few minutes, give him a few games. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Daniel Jones needs a few games. That's my takeaway from that game. The Giants lose on Thursday Night Football. The Washington football team. The Baltimore Ravens, everybody. On Sunday Night Football, first home game in Baltimore this season. I said Lamar Jackson is going to start 0-2 for the first time in his career. He didn't. Okay, Lamar Jackson beat Patrick Mahomes for the first time in his career. What a game for the Baltimore Ravens, everybody, beating the Kansas City Chiefs, beating Patrick Mahomes for the first time in his career. Patrick Mahomes played well in that game, but it was his first September loss ever, and it was his first interception ever thrown in the month of September. Just an interesting thing to think about. Okay, Ravens can be legit contenders this year, because they can beat you in so many ways. Okay, they still have a good running game. Okay, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Tyson Williams, and then you got some good wide receivers. You got Sammy Watkins, Marquise Brown, a couple other guys on the outside. This is an interesting team to watch. You got Lamar Jackson, obviously, of course, who could still maybe have a chance to win MVP this year, maybe win his second NFL MVP, maybe win his first Super Bowl. Leave your answer in the comment section if you think the Ravens are Super Bowl contenders this year. Just an interesting thing to think about. The Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Next game, the Buffalo Bills, everybody. Okay, I said they were going to blow out the Miami Dolphins. And what did they do? They won 35-0. A great bounce-back game by the Buffalo Bills. Just a really great bounce-back game. Okay, I know Tua Tagovailoa got hurt, but it wasn't only the quarterback position that faulted the Dolphins in that game. Last time they played the Bills won like 52-17. That was week 17 of the NFL season last year. Then the Dolphins playoff hopes. Just interesting to see how the Buffalo Bills rebounded after, tough game against Pittsburgh Steelers. And, the Dolphins aren't going to dominate this division, everybody, for the next 5 years. People said, Dolphins going to be the kings of this division. Patriots are going down. Bills, coming in. But still, Jets are obviously terrible. But no, this is the Bills division still. And maybe even after the Bills, you could say New England. I think Miami has a case to be the third worst team in this division, and you still got New York coming up in the next couple of years. Okay, the Jets are coming up in the next couple of years. I know Zach Wilson threw 4 picks. The rookie quarterback struggled this week, everybody. Trevor Lawrence struggled. Zach Wilson struggled. But just, the Jets are also coming up. They're going to be a good team in the next 5 years. It won't be this season. It won't be next season. Maybe not even be the next season after that. But Robert Saleh is going to build a culture around this team. They're going to be a good team in the upcoming years. But New York Jets, so far, not doing so great. Zach Wilson, so far, didn't have a great game against the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick's one of his greatest strengths is figuring out rookie quarterbacks. He figured out Justin Herbert last year. He shut him down. He shut down Zach Wilson. Okay, and then Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, just didn't play well. It's not a good fit in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer. I think Trevor Lawrence obviously is a fine fit in Jacksonville, but just Urban Meyer, it doesn't look like this team's going to be a good team this year, and even not next year. This team looks like a 7-10 type of team. Okay, that's what it's going to be, maybe at its peak. That's all I'm trying to say here. Okay, Jackson, lost Travis Etienne before the season. Jacksonville Jaguars not off to a great start so far. But you know who is? Sam Darnold, everybody. Sam Darnold's off to a great start this year, 2-0. Beat the New Orleans Saints, who crushed the Green Bay Packers last year. I picked to win the Super Bowl, Green Bay Packers. But Sam Darnold's looking great so far. Okay, we always said, Sam Darnold's not a good quarterback. No, what I've realized now was that it was Adam Gase's fault. It was the Jets' fault. Because Sam Darnold had promise in his rookie year under Todd Bowles. But it was Todd Bowles, a defensive-minded coach. Adam Gase is an offensive-minded coach, but he's probably the worst offensive-minded coach in the game. Okay, great game by Sam Darnold against the New Orleans Saints. Great start to the season for Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers, everybody. Okay, just a really great thing to see. Sam Darnold showing out so far in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season for the Carolina Panthers. Now, last NFL team I want to go over. The Green Bay Packers. What a rebound they had after an egregiously bad Week 1 against New Orleans Saints. Everybody, Aaron Jones got me 41 fantasy points, had 4 touchdowns. Okay, Aaron Rodgers played well in that game. You could say, oh, they were losing at halftime. They got outgained. Who cares? They won. In the NFL, it's a survive and advance league. In the NFL, you can win every single game by 1 point. You can win every single game 2-0, and you'll be the highest ranked team in the NFL. College football, it's different. College football, you can go undefeated, and you might not even make the college football playoff. But NFL is different. NFL is a lot more different. Okay, the Green Bay Packers, they didn't show up all their doubters, but they were close. I think in the upcoming weeks, they will. Green Bay Packers had a rough Week 1, but I think they're going to bounce back from that. I think they're going to start off the season well after this game. I think they can start off the season 6-1, whatever it might be. Okay, Green Bay Packers had a great rebound against Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football in prime time. Okay, after a terrible game in Week 1 against the Orleans Saints. Leave in the comment section if you think the Green Bay Packers could be a good team this year. I think so. Leave your answer in the comment section. Now, I want to talk about one thing in MLB, and it's about Salvador Perez. Salvador Perez broke the home run record by catchers in MLB this week. Okay, he's the most RBIs in MLB so far this season, and he broke Johnny Bench's record for 45 home runs by a catcher in MLB season. Okay, it's always on steroids, yeah, it might be, but Salvador Perez is still a really good player. Just interesting to see a catcher do this one. Maybe the best season ever by a catcher. Leave your answer in the comment section. Is he the best defense catcher in the game? Is he the best hitting catcher in the game? Your answer should be yes, and probably is yes. That's about for the headlines this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. All right, Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. We didn't get that perfect record last week, but we are this week. I know I say it every week, but this week I'm feeling confident. There's a lot of good games to pick. Let's hop into it. Panthers-Texans on Thursday Night Football. I just praised Sam Darnold. Tyrod Taylor's not going to start this game. You got Davis Mills starting this game, who barely even started a game in college. Yeah, this is an easy one for me. Panthers, I don't even care if the game's at home. Texans doesn't know. True fans, anyways. Give me the Panthers in this one, but close. Washington, Bills, everybody. Washington football team versus the Buffalo Bills. Who's going to win this game? It's going to be Buffalo in this one. And it's going to be Buffalo big. Okay, I said Buffalo big last week, and I think I said Buffalo big the week before. But I was right last week. Buffalo's going to win big this week against the Washington football team. They're going to shut down Taylor Heineke. They're going to shut down Chase Young. They're going to shut down Antonio Gibson. They're going to shut down Ron Rivera's game plan. Give me Buffalo in this one. Bears versus Browns, everybody. Okay, I picked against the Bears last week. I picked against the Bears the week before. I'm 1-1 against picking against the Bears. But I'm going to pick against the Bears again. I'm going with the Browns, everybody, to win this game against the Chicago Bears. Know a little bit about it, okay? This Browns team is a good team. They barely lost. The Kansas City Chiefs, Week 1. Okay, had a good game, whatever you want to say about the Texans game. They had a good game against the Texans. Once Davis Mills came into the game, it seemed like that was a lock for Baker Mayfield and the Browns, and they closed it. Cleveland won that game. They're going to win this game again against the Chicago Bears, everybody. Now, the Buccaneers versus the Rams, everybody. I'm taking Tom Brady. Tom Brady had 5 touchdowns last week. Okay, I love this Rams team. I really do. I think they're a top 3-5 team in the NFL, whatever it might be. Love Cooper Kupp. Had a great week last week. But they let up a little bit at the end of the game against the Colts. You can't do that as much against a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers exposed some weaknesses in this team. It's still early in the season. The season's still very young. Okay, they still got a lot of things to hash out, in my opinion. The Los Angeles Rams. So it's going to be a good game. I'm taking the Buccaneers in this one, getting revenge after the loss last year to Jared Goff. And after that game last year, when the Rams won the game, I said the Rams were the best team in the NFL. And then they lost to the terrible 49ers the week after. But the Buccaneers are going to win this game. Maybe the best team in the NFL. They might be. I'm taking the Buccaneers in this one. No debate about it. Now, Seahawks versus Vikings, everybody. Who am I taking in this one? I was thinking, maybe it could be a tie because the Seahawks defense wasn't great. It really wasn't great against Tennessee Titans. Okay, they were up 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing in overtime. Okay, you need to think some things through. I think Vikings defense isn't good enough to stop Russell Wilson in this game. I don't think Eric Kendricks and company shut them down. Okay, I really don't. Dalvin Cook's going to have a good game against this egregiously bad rushing defense of the Seattle Seahawks. But I still do think Seattle closes the window in this game, beating Minnesota Vikings. Now, last game, maybe one of the best games. Packers versus 49ers, everybody. Because this rivalry, it's got a rich history. Last year, the Packers won. Year before, NFC Championship game, 49ers blew them out of the water. What do I think in this game? I think the Packers are going to win close. I still am picking the 49ers to make the NFC Championship game this year, okay? I love that defense. Call me crazy. You can. But I love that defense of the 49ers. But I'm still taking the Packers in this game because my NFC Championship preseason match was Packers versus 49ers, and I picked the Packers in that game to make the Super Bowl. Why not stick with my pick? I'm taking the Packers in this one. That's about for Schoolyard Sports on NFL Game Day. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, coming up next, interview with John Middlekauff, former Eagle Scout, host of the 3 and Out podcast, here to talk some NFL and college football. Everybody, stay tuned. We're back, Schoolyard Sports fans. We have an interview with host of the 3 and Out podcast, John Middlekauff, here to talk some college football and NFL. All right, let's get started here right away. All right, John, I want to start off with this. What do you think the Dolphins should do with Tua Tagovailoa? All right, they're 0-2 to start the season. He got hurt last week. He's going to be ruled out for this week against the 2-0 Raiders. Last season, it wasn't perfect for him. I thought they should have at least kept on the number 3 pick, maybe looked at some more options before the whole Deshaun Watson thing happened. I thought that was going to be the right move, and then they just hung on to Tua Tagovailoa. I felt like he wasn't ready to take the full step as the full-time starter. They got a great backup, Jacoby Brissett. But what do you think the Dolphins should do going forward to Tua Tagovailoa?
I think they're in a tough spot, Lane. Thanks for having me on. When you invest the 5th pick in a player, you usually don't get rid of them a couple years later. So I think, as crazy as it sounds, you might have to write it out. Now, the elephant in the room is Deshaun Watson. So if he's ever cleared of all of his his issues off the field go away, then I think they will have to be in the market for him, because you use the 5th pick on Tua. The next guy, Herbert, looks really good. He's just much better than Herbert. If they could do that over, I think we all know. If they could redo the draft, even if Joe Burrow had went 1 still, which I still think he might. He looks pretty good, even coming off his knee injury. Herbert would have gone 2 to Washington. Chase Young's awesome, but quarterbacks are just more important. And I think, would Tua have gone in the first round? Probably not. So he's already hurt. I think they got lucky when I saw the injury. I don't know about you, Lane. I thought that he re-hurt his hip the way the guy fell on him. I'm like, oh my God, he dislocated his hip again. This is a disaster. They got kind of lucky that it's just rib injuries, but it's also, if you've ever had the opportunity, and I know anyone listening might not have, when you meet an Eli Manning, a Peyton Manning, a Phillip Rivers, even, Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar are bigger guys. They're not as big as those guys, but we've gotten to so many small quarterbacks in the NFL, and there's a reason that people like their quarterbacks big, because when you do get hit, those guys are really big that are hitting you. And, he's small and he's injury prone. So I think they're kind of stuck with it unless they can get Deshaun Watson. They just have to find a way to make him functional. And right now he's not. I guess I could say they score 17 points through 2 games, but he didn't play a lot of that other game. But they're not very good on offense. With their offensive line stinks. They have a Tua problem, Lane, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, going into the 2020 draft, I had thought Herbert was the number 1 quarterback in that draft. I still think he's the number 1 quarterback in that draft.
You're a good scout, Lane.
Yeah, Herbert's a big guy. I mean, he's 6'4", 230. I mean, I felt like he was the best quarterback prospect going into that draft. Tua, injury concerns. I didn't think Joe Burrow, after coming off, I was always high on Joe Burrow, but I thought he was the 2nd best quarterback in that draft class. I always thought Herbert was number 1. And I still think Herbert is better than Trevor Lawrence. Still think Herbert's better than Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa, and I think he has a chance to be a Hall of Famer one day. But let's switch things over to college football. USC football, we saw them fire Clay Helton after 2 games. And then they go down 14-0 against Washington State this week in the first quarter. And Jackson Dart comes in, 5-star freshman Jackson Dart, and Dante Williams' head coaching debut. And they win 42-14. I was always a big believer in Keaton Slovis. Because looking back on it, he's a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. He lost the Pac-12 championship game for them last year. And if they won that Pac-12 championship game, there were some arguments for the college football playoff for them last year. They would have been undefeated. They would have made a New Year's Six Bowl even if they didn't make the college football playoff. So I'm starting to think about things. Is Jackson Dart the guy for this program? And what do you think Keaton Slovis' next move should be? And what do you think the next move for USC football should be? Is it hiring James Franklin, Luke Fickell, Urban Meyer, or anybody else?
Deion Sanders?
Yeah.
You see that rumor floating around? You see that rumor floating around, Lane? That's a spicy one. Yeah, once upon a time, Keaton Slovis did the same thing that Jackson Dart did to him, to JT Daniels, who's now the starting quarterback. We'll see. I call them, I would assume right now, just watching, they might be the best team, but obviously Alabama has the, just the historical resume, but JT Daniels is pretty good. And JT Daniels, like Jackson Dart, was a huge recruit. Keaton Slovis, I never really saw it, in terms of like just this guy you put on, scholarship. I know he's on scholarship, but I just mean like locked into the number 1 quarterback job for the next 3 or 4 years. And it's not all his fault, but Jackson Dart's just another level player. And that much is clear. So to me, new head coach, you would say if Helton was still there, he might be loyal to Slovis, right? It's just human nature. You're loyal to a guy you like that's played a bunch of games. But the new head coach, Dante Williams, why would he be? He's trying to get the job. And you just look at Jackson Dart. He looks like Sunshine from Remember the Titans. He's got that cool look. He's a big arm. They just had life. For the first time, I'm sure you thought this watching. I'm a little older than you, but the program was just, it felt like this is kind of cool USC. And he's slinging it around, and they got London, number 15, looks like a monster. It's like, okay, this is the USC, the reason all their fans have been clamoring for. And you can tell they should always get quarterbacks like this. And then if you can get the right guy in to recruit, Urban Meyer would be the guy, but he'd have to quit. It's kind of a long shot. They would need several things to happen. They would need him to quit the Jaguars and come there. Probably unlikely. James Franklin, that big win Saturday night, you talk about ability to recruit. Think how many good players they would have.
Culture.
So James Franklin, if Luke Fickell at Cincinnati beats Notre Dame in a couple weeks, that'd be one of the biggest wins. I mean, that would be incredible, given how, it's not like they would be this little underdog coming in. It would be Cincinnati ranked really high. Notre Dame's really good. Obviously Notre Dame plays Wisconsin this weekend, but I would imagine that Jackson Dart is the full-time starter moving forward. Slovis probably transfers like a lot of kids do, which he should. He'll end up at a Fresno State, a Boise State, something like that, and he still have a shot to, make the NFL and get drafted maybe in a couple years.
He's draft eligible this year, so.
Yeah, so he could come out, but he also, he could do one of those because they all got that extra year, like go to, if Jake Haener at Fresno State leaves, he'd go there and try to up his stock if that's the way he's thinking. So, yeah, I'd say Dante Williams definitely has a really good chance to become their main recruiter, assistant head coach. You do a really good job. He's not going to be the head coach because they've done that before, right, with Clay Helton. And they're going to go big game hunting as they should. James Franklin, I think, is the safest hire. Urban Meyer would be probably the sexiest hire. And Lane Kiffin would actually be pretty fun too.
Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But the thing I don't love having because you see these big time programs, Miami, USC, they had in-staff hires. Manny Diaz was an in-staff hire. He was the defense coordinator for Miami. Not a big name. You could have gone a huge name to go to Miami. Same with Clay Helton. He was just an intern. Then they hire him as full-time. They always say USC's built like an NFL team, but they don't play as a top 25 team every single week. You need to build a good culture there. I think James Franklin's the right guy for that job. And the thing with JT Daniels was that what happened with him, he had a rough freshman year, and that's why Keaton Slovis beat him out. That's why he got hurt first game of the season, JT Daniels, but then he knew he couldn't come back and beat Keaton Slovis out. But now JT Daniels looks like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. But I do agree with you that Jackson Dart does look like the guy, and I think he should be the guy for the rest of the season if Dante Williams wants to keep his job as the head coach.
How good does Jackson Dart look? I mean, that guy looks sweet, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He was slinging it around.
Yeah. He's questionable for this week with a knee injury, and they said Keaton was great in practice. But
wait, you're saying Jackson got hurt?
Yeah, he has a knee injury. He's questionable for this week.
Oh, it makes sense because, in that game, he was limping around. I was like, this guy's tough too. Obviously, he had to stay in because what would they have done? They've gone to their third string quarterback. Yeah. That was a shot.
Yeah, but if you have a team of next year with James Franklin, say Drake London comes back, and then you have Jackson Dart, that's a top 10, top 25 type of team because James Franklin can rebuild that team like that. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say.
The one issue is going to be for next year with the super high expectation that they land James is that early signing period that, a lot of guys, James going to get a lot of commits. And so are, all the top teams in that. I don't know you probably know, November, whenever the date is before the other one in, early February. Yeah, so it would hurt them a little in the short term, but long term, James would crush it.
And if you hire James Franklin, that means you can probably keep Demar Jackson, you can probably keep Jaden Gold, and from them flipping to another school like Michigan, Ohio State. You can keep your top recruits unless if you get like a Luke Fickell, that's not going to persuade your 5-star recruits to stay so much. But I want to move on to another thing in the NFL. How high are you on Sam Darnold, another former USC quarterback? Because they're 2-0, the Panthers, so far this season. They got a great running game. I think Sam Darnold complements Christian McCaffrey in such a great way, and Christian McCaffrey is more of a security blanket for Sam Darnold, just what he needed this early in his career. And it shows that Adam Gase was pretty much his only problem. One of his many problems in New York, but now he's not in New York anymore, away from the New York media. He's in Carolina, which is not a media capital of anything. Just how high are you on Sam Darnold and the Panthers this year, and how far do you think he can go in his career with the Panthers?
How about DJ Moore too? He's a stud. They got yeah. Robbie Anderson can fly. He finally just has stability. Matt Rule just might be a stud. We're going to, Joe Brady, who helped make that LSU program with kind of put Ed Ogeron, got him a contract extension. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, it's a good spot for Sam. Like you said, it's very low key. It's a good place for him just to kind of ease back in and resurrect his career. And he's not 30 years old. He's 23. When he got drafted, I think he was him. If he was, I think him and Juju came out the same year, and Juju was the youngest player in the draft. He was like 19. It was crazy. Yeah. Sam was like 20. So you still have a lot to work with. We've seen guys resurrect their careers in their mid to late 20s. You definitely can do it at 23. I like him a lot. I think, you win this week, which they're favored big time, right? Now it's a short week, but still they're way better than the Texans, especially with Tyrod Taylor out. All of a sudden you're 3-0. You'll learn this as you age. Confidence builds on itself. So when you do well in something, like you do well in school, you do well in this podcast, you're more likely to be fired up to do the next podcast. When something goes wrong, sometimes it goes the other way. It's, confidence, it takes a long time to build up, but you can lose it fast. And I think you see a lot of young quarterbacks like Zach Wilson, it's just kind of like through 4 picks, it unraveled. You see Trevor Lawrence, who's always been really confident and good. Now he's with a terrible team. I think Sam finally gets to take a deep breath, and he has really good players around him. McCaffrey, when healthy, is one of the best players in the league. How about this? The Panthers defense is pretty good too. I think if Jameis can't figure it out, maybe they take the Saints spot, and be a playoff team at like 10-7 or something. Yeah, you start 3-4-0. You just build yourself that little buffer that, later on the season, if you lose a couple games, instead of being, 6-6, you are 8-4. It's a big difference winning early, having a big head start. When the 49ers made the Super Bowl a couple years ago, it came down to the last game against Seattle to win that division.
1 year.
But they started 8-0, so they had this huge room for error. So you win this weekend. When's the last time Sam Darnold won 3 straight games in the pros? Probably never happened in New York.
Yeah. Hasn't happened in a while. But the main thing with the Panthers, they've got to retain Joe Brady. Say a Manny Diaz, somebody big coach in college football, gets fired. In all seriousness, the program's probably going to go after Joe Brady, and then he's probably going to take that job if he gets the offer. So they got to make him maybe the highest paid assistant in the NFL right now, or just something. They got to keep on Joe Brady if they want to keep on building on this season. You're not going to win the Super Bowl this season, but to say maybe 3-4 years, you can build a solid team. You can build a dynasty. You see what Kansas City did. You see what all these other teams did. That's what I think on Sam Darnold and the Panthers. I was never the highest on him with the Jets, but what I've seen so far with the Panthers, they started out 2-0. I mean, that's just amazing. I'm high on Sam Darnold, but let's move back to the West Coast in NFL. All right. Do the Chargers have a legitimate problem? Okay, I was so high on Justin Herbert, like I said earlier, but they're 1-1 to start the season. They don't play a non-playoff contender until week 8 in the Eagles, and that still might be a playoff contender. There's a legitimate shot that this team starts off 1-6 this season. I mean, you could say the Patriots aren't a playoff contender, but Patriots beat the Chargers 45-0 last season. Do you think the Chargers have a legitimate problem this season? And where do they go from here because this could have been a key win. This could have been almost a statement win for the Chargers this season if they beat the Cowboys. What do you think on that?
Are you a Cowboy fan?
No, not at all. Giants.
The New York Giants?
Yeah, but I like all New York teams.
Gotcha. I'm pulling up the Chargers schedule. Don't they play they play the Raiders in 2 nights. I see what you're saying. Their schedule. So they got the Chiefs, then they get the Raiders, but they get them in LA, but that'll be a Raider home game. Then the Browns, who's, see Jarvis Landry's hurt. It's a big injury. At the Ravens, the Patriots, the Eagles. Minnesota's not terrible. Pittsburgh, Broncos. God, their schedule is really hard. You're right.
Yeah.
I do think they're really talented. I'm with you. I mean, anytime you lose a heartbreaker, you can always play that game, but Chiefs defense is pretty bad right now. Now, Are they going to go to Kansas City and win? Probably not. So then that game at home against the Raiders on Monday night would basically, I don't want to say must win, but you don't want to start 1-3 and then have to go, then play the Browns and Ravens and Patriots back to back. So I think the key is you got to win one of these next 2 games, especially when they're divisional games. You don't want to go 0-2 in the division against 2 teams. Now the Raiders, I mean, that offense and Derek's playing really good. And Kansas City is just – they played Kansas City, remember last year when Tyrod Taylor got the shot to the lung.
Went to overtime.
And Herbert came in and they went to OT, yeah.
And then week 17, they played at Kansas City. Mahomes didn't play, but they won that game. So they showed fight against Kansas City Chiefs last year, and then they obviously showed fight against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders.
I like their coach. I like watching the game, he was screaming and stuff. I think he's pretty locked in. That game last year with Lynn, the Cowboys beat him by 10 points. So I do think they're making strides.
I mean, they have star power. You got Derwin James Pro Bowler, Joey Bosa Pro Bowler, Austin Eckler can be a Pro Bowler, Keenan Allen, and then Jared Cook. You still got. I mean, this is a talented team.
Mike Williams is good.
Mike Williams, Yeah, they just got to figure some things out. But now I want to switch over to my favorite team in the NFL. All right, my New York Giants. 0-2 to start the season. I love Daniel Jones. Okay, went to Duke, but he's a great athlete, 6'5". But it's time to think, is he the guy? Is he a franchise quarterback? He played well on Thursday night, but he really couldn't get the job done. And it's just interesting to think about. I mean, you got a great quarterback draft class coming up. You got Carson Strong, who I love, Desmond Ridder, Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell's a great, and Malik Willis, great quarterback class coming up. What do you think the Giants' plan of attack should be this offseason? Do you maybe get rid of Joe Judge, get rid of Dave Gettleman? What do you think it might be?
You're already firing Joe Judge, year 2?
I love Joe Judge, but it's like, it wasn't a home run hire at the time. Hire a Patriots special teams coach. But, I mean, he had a great season last year, Joe Judge. I think you keep Joe Judge, Gettleman, you got to think some things through, though.
Yeah, I think what you do is, well, you don't know. They're 0-2, so they're not looking good. Whoever wins the Eagles-Dallas game is going to be 2-1. So if the Giants got this week?
The Giants have.
They play the Saints, or excuse me, they play the Falcons. The Falcons are terrible. If you can't beat the Falcons, new coach, terrible defense, it might just be over. Maybe honestly, if they lose this game, you could argue just fire Gettleman now and just start the search, get ahead, a little USC style. Daniel Jones, I know he played decent last Thursday night, right? It was actually one of his better games of his career. He was good and under control. Problem is he does do that very often. He has a good game, then he has a really bad game. He throws a bunch of picks. Not all of his fault. Their O-line's not very good. Saquon doesn't look like he did before the injury. He still looks slow. Even the long run, that long
his
run.
Only rookie year. I mean, 40 yards and that was about it.
Don't you think that his rookie year, that run, he takes it to the house? He's so fast.
Yeah.
He doesn't look as fast now. They have a bunch of, weapons. They signed wide receivers and, drafted them, but they O-line can't protect anybody. And their defense is still solid. I mean, their defense isn't the problem. It's just their offense can't run the ball. And to me, for Daniel Jones to be good, he is like this generation's Alex Smith. He has to have a running game, and he's not a down the field thrower. So you just got to be accurate. And sometimes he was an accurate guy in college, and I watch him in the pros, and he's not like he balloons balls over guys' heads, skips balls, but they don't make a really nice throw. He's just your classic kind of average quarterback right now with he does have talent though, right? He's not like, he's obviously very fast. He has a good arm. He's big. My prediction with Daniel Jones is he'll be on another team one day and resurrect his career.
Yeah. And I would probably I'm going to defend the Saquon pick forever, not because of the player Saquon is, because you could say they should have taken a quarterback, but in all seriousness, they're going to take either Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen is a bust. Sam Darnold probably wouldn't have worked out with the Giants.
Josh Rosen would have been a disaster, yeah.
Oh, gosh. I was so high on Josh Rosen going into that draft, but you're not going to take Josh Allen, a kid from Wyoming, when you're the New York Giants. You're going to take a kid from USC, from UCLA. I mean, so that's why I'm defending the Saquon pick. Not because of the player he is, but because they would have taken a quarterback. Probably would have been worse having Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, whatever it might have been. All right, so here's one last NFL question for you. Is there a chance this rookie NFL quarterback draft class is almost disappointing? All right, we see Trey Lance. All right, he had a touchdown week 1, but he's not going to. I don't think he should play this season. I still think the 49ers are a great team with Jimmy Garoppolo. And then you got Trevor Lawrence struggling in week 1 and week 2. Not fully his fault. Zach Wilson threw 4 picks in the first half. And then Mac Jones, pretty much the only rookie quarterback doing solid so far in his rookie tenure. But he's on the Patriots. Got Big Bill Belichick as his head coach. Is it time to maybe do the old strategy, shelf these quarterbacks for a year or two? What do you think? I mean, because they're just throwing them out on the wolves pretty much.
Their teams do suck. That's the one thing. Agreed. The Jets are awful. The Jags should be a little bit better than the Jets, but Urban Meyer seems over his head in the pros. Mac is on a good team, and he just looks fine. Trey, he's on a team that thinks they can win the Super Bowl, so they're just easing him in. And Fields, we're going to see this week. The problem is they're playing the Browns, and the Browns are pretty good. It's in Cleveland, so
start Nick Foles. They should have.
I think part of it is you just have to learn to live with young guys making mistakes, but you have to be in their ear, keep them confident, give them easy plays. Like last week, the Jets kept asking Zach Wilson to throw it deep against the Patriots that have a really good secondary, and they were picking them off like they have 5 Deion Sanders on their team. It was just run the ball. The Jets should have been cool with losing, but you don't want a guy to throw all those picks. So even if you're going to lose, make it easier for him. I think the thing to watch this weekend with Justin Fields, I would implement a couple Lamar type plays, a couple options, a couple quarterback runs, give him some easy plays that he feels. I'd go back to Ohio State film and hey, Justin, what are your favorite plays? And just give 4 or 5 of those that he feels very, very comfortable with. and just try to put them in a position to succeed, because I think the Jags and the Jets right now are just throwing the guys to the wolves, and it's hard, and they're getting crushed.
Yeah, I mean, the doubt, because, you're on a terrible team, and it's not completely your fault, but you're on a terrible team. You start off bad as a rookie quarterback. It gets into your head. Then you start hearing talks, is he a bust? But you know in your mind that you're still a good player, just you're stuck on the bad team for right now. That's why I think, maybe some of these teams, like,
I agree.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think, in my opinion, should have been the only rookie quarterback starting week 1. I mean, Zach Wilson didn't play the Power 5 football team last year. So it's just like, and then Trey Lance obviously isn't starting. Just an interesting thing to think about. I think it definitely does have a chance to be an underwhelming draft class. But I'm going to leave it with this right here. What is your favorite thing about podcasting? What do you love so much about podcasting?
I like talking. So it's an area to talk and entertain people. It gives you the ability, if you're a creative person, to just, we all are creative in different ways. Some people paint, some people, do business stuff. Some people, we're all just a little different, and it's something that I can tell you're really good at. And it's just one of those, it's just fun to kind of build a podcast and figure it out as you go, and then kind of mold it into what you like. So I guess I like talking for a living. It beats, digging ditches.
Pretty much. That's a great insight. Thanks. Thank you so much for joining us, John. Still more coming. Schoolyard Sports, Land Frank, episode 49. Stay tuned. Top 5, everybody. This week's top 5 is the top 5 things I expected to see and the things I didn't expect to see so far in the NFL season. I know it's only week 2, everybody, but we love the NFL. Let's hop into it. Number 5, the Cowboys starting out strong. Okay, you could say, I did expect to see it. They lost week 1 to the Buccaneers. They lost by 2 points. They lost on a game-winning field goal. They beat the Chargers in LA this week. That's a key win for your season. Okay, I said the Cowboys were going to start out strong because after that Buccaneers game, they don't play a playoff team from last year until week 11 in November. Late November, against the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody. That's what I'm trying to say here. Cowboys, number 5, started out strong. Number 4, something I didn't expect to see. Well, the thing I didn't expect to see was the Raiders being so good, everybody. They're 2-0. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Ravens. They're decimating the AFC North, everybody. Did you expect them to beat the Ravens who beat the Chiefs? No, I didn't. Okay, just a crazy thing to see. Derek Carr is playing well. Josh Jacobs playing well. This defense is playing well. John Gruden has in this team ready. Number 4, they're starting out strong. I didn't expect to see everybody. Now, number 3, something I did expect to see, and I'm happy to see. The Dolphins are not doing so great, everybody. You could say, why are you rooting for a team not to be good? Because I want them to get a new quarterback in the offseason. I'm sorry to talking about whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's somebody else, whether it's Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell, whoever it might be. Okay, I'm happy that the Dolphins haven't started out strong. They won by 1 point against a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. Okay, if Mac Jones wasn't a rookie quarterback, they would have won that game. If Cam Newton was starting quarterback of that team, they would have won that game. I'm still thinking that Mac Jones is a better choice as a starting quarterback for this team. Cam Newton, but just an interesting thing to think about, because in the long run, it's going to be better for Mac Jones to be a starting quarterback team than Cam Newton. But I did expect to see, and I'm happy to see, the Dolphins not doing so great after the first 2 weeks of the season. It was 35-0 against Buffalo Bills. Everybody looking like the same old Dolphins from last year. Number 2, the Chiefs not being so perfect to start the season. I didn't expect that. I thought the Chiefs could go 15-2, 14-3, whatever it might be, and they still can't. But they've one loss. I thought they could start the season 2-0. They had some struggles in week 1 against the AFC North Browns. Then they go up against, they still won that game, but then they go up against the AFC North Ravens, and they lose. Okay, just the defense wasn't great in that game. Patrick Mahomes made some mistakes. Okay, still a great game by Patrick Mahomes, but some mistakes here and there with an interception. The defense wasn't great at all. Okay, this defense isn't a top 10 defense in the NFL. You can argue me on that, but they just aren't. That's number 2. Number 1, the thing I expected to see, and I'm very, very, very happy to see, Sam Darnold off to a great start. Okay, you'd say, he's not off to a great start. They're 2-0. They are 2-0. They're just 2-0. They're 2-0, everybody. They have a key win against the New Orleans Saints. We won against the Green Bay Packers, 38-3, everybody. Okay, New Orleans Saints. And then they go up against Carolina Panthers, and Sam Darnold torches them. Okay, Christian McCaffrey's a perfect complement to Sam Darnold's game. Okay, you could say Sam Darnold's perfect complement Christian McCaffrey's game. This is great offense complemented by great defense led by Matt Rule. This defense just can keep on improving each year under Matt Rule, and it'll eventually end up in a Super Bowl. Okay, whether it's winning a Super Bowl, whether it's not, whether it's with Sam Darnold, whether it's not. That's what I'm trying to say here. They should be out of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes now, not because they can't offer anything for him, because they shouldn't want him anymore. Okay, they should want Sam Darnold as their franchise quarterback. If you can have a trio of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, whatever it might be, Christian McCaffrey, and then you add Sam Darnold there, that's a good team. Okay, That's a really good team right there. That's what I'm trying to say. That's number 1. That's about for top 5 this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, didn't know everybody. This week's Did You Know is, did you know Cal Ripken Jr. went 2,632 straight games without missing a game? He went 2,632 games without missing a game. Said it again. Okay. If you haven't missed a game in 2,632 games, Russell Westbrook. Every athlete was missed a game. Okay, Carson Wentz, get tips from Cal Ripken Jr. He played 2,632 straight games. Okay, Mr. Instructable, pretty much. Okay, you could say, oh, baseball's 162 games a season. Still, if you play 162 games a season, that's insane. Okay, but Cal Ripken Jr. did that on many occasions. Played 2,632 straight games. Did you know that? Leave that in the comment section. That's bad for Did You Know this week. Now, MVP, everybody. This week's MVP is Lamar Jackson. What a game he had against Patrick Mahomes. I already talked about beat the Kansas City Chiefs. What a game by Lamar Jackson and his Baltimore Ravens. It's his team now. It always has been his team. Lamar Jackson, what a game against Kansas City Chiefs, everybody. He's easily MVP swing. And now I got one other MVP throughout you. Michigan's running back room. Or you could say Mike Hart, Josh Gatz, whoever it might be. You could say, oh, it's a biased pick. Michigan had 8 rushing touchdowns this week. Blake Corum had 3. Hassan Haskins had 2. Donovan Edwards had 2. Cade McNamara had 1 quarterback. But just interesting thing to think about, Michigan's running back room, the best running back room in the country, the most rushing yards in the country. It's not up for debate. No debate about it. Michigan's running back room is MVP this week, and Lamar Jackson. Now LVP, everybody, here's where it gets fun. Here's where we get fun with it. LVP this week is rookie NFL quarterbacks. We saw Trevor Lawrence struggle. We saw Zach Wilson throw 4 picks in the first half. Okay, then we saw Justin Fields. We saw Andy Dalton get hurt in the second quarter, and we're all getting, all right, oh, Justin Fields going to have a great game. He's going to steal a starting job from Andy Dalton. No, he really didn't. He played a terrible, let's not say terrible, but he didn't play a good game against the Bengals, everybody. He didn't show anybody that he's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton deserves to be the starting quarterback of his team when healthy. Okay, Justin Fields didn't look good in his first real taste we got from the NFL. Yeah, we saw a touchdown against him and against the Rams. That's an angle and stuff. So just interesting thing to think about. LVP this week is the NFL rookie quarterbacks, everybody. We didn't get to see Trey Lance this week. And, Mac Jones, let's exclude Mac Jones from that, everybody. Okay, Mac Jones played great. He beat Zach Wilson. Okay, it was a rookie duel, and he beat Zach Wilson. So Mac Jones, the only rookie NFL quarterback who played well this week, and then Trey Lance didn't even get a snap. Just that's about for MVP, LVP this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. All right, I want to do a little spotlight here on the Los Angeles Chargers. Everybody, so we just say Los Angeles Chargers. But I want to do a little spotlight here, everybody. Okay, they have a problem. I love Justin Herbert. I do. I love Keenan Allen. I love Austin Eckler. I'm not going to shade those guys in this segment. I love Derwin James. I love Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, everybody on that team, even Brandon Staley. But they got an issue here. They lost in week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys, and that's not the only problem. Okay, Justin Herbert, like I said, didn't look great in week 2. Didn't look flattering great in week 1 either against Washington. But that's tough defense to go up with, and Dallas Cowboys defense is improved. But they don't have an easy game against a non-playoff contender until week 9. And you still play the Eagles in that game, who could be a playoff contender. So you're probably going to lose all your games from here on until week 9. The only game you could say, they might win is Patriots. But the Patriots beat this team 45-0 last year, everybody. So I don't expect much of a difference this year. It'll be close this year. I think Patriots still win that game. But they got a dilemma here. Okay, what do you think Chargers should do? Leave your answer in the comment section. Just an interesting thing to think about. I think that they need to just maybe regroup, rehuddle up everything. Okay, because if you can sneak in 3-4 wins in there, that's what it's going to be. That's what you need. You need to sneak in 3-4-2-3 wins in that really tough stretch. Because until November 11th, whatever it might be, you don't play an easy, good team. Okay, you don't have a free win until week 9. That's a long time from here. We're in week 2, everybody. We're heading into week 3, but you don't have an easy win until week 9. It's a lot of games, everybody. Interesting thing to think about. Chargers got an issue here. Leave your answer in the comment section. What do you think they should do? That's about for my Chargers Spotlight this week. Now, college football showcase, everybody. We had a great week 3. College football, like I said, my Michigan Wolverines winning 63-10 against Northern Illinois. Alabama beating Florida, Fresno State, upsetting UCLA, like I said they would on Schoolyard Sports Instagram. Should have been following Schoolyard Sports. Would have got that betting tip. And BYU upsetting Arizona State. I also picked that game. But then we got the Virginia Tech game wrong and the Auburn game wrong. That's besides the point. Let's hop into my Schoolyard Sports post week 3, top 25, heading into week 4. Number 1, Alabama. 2 Georgia, 3 Oklahoma, 4 Cincinnati, 5 Oregon, 6 Penn State, 7 Iowa, 8 Clemson, 9 Texas A&M, 10 Ohio State, 11 Notre Dame, 12 Ole Miss, call me crazy, 13 Florida, 14 Iowa State, 15 Michigan, 16 Arkansas, 17 Coastal Carolina, 18 North Carolina, 19 Wisconsin, 20 BYU, 21 Michigan State, 22 Auburn, 23 Texas, 24 Kansas State, 25 Fresno State. Now I want to give 2 honorable mentions here, both LA teams, USC and UCLA. So it would go 26 UCLA, USC, and then 27 UCLA. All right, everybody, let's break it down here a little bit. I love the win by Fresno State. Okay, I love Jake Haener. Has a chance to be an NFL quarterback. Has a chance to win the Heisman this year. Jake Haener used to be a Pac-12 quarterback at Washington. Was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Made the Elite 11, everything like that. Jake Haener, a great quarterback of Fresno State. 25, Fresno State. 24 was Kansas State. Okay, I've been ranking Nevada the past couple weeks. Kansas State crushed Nevada this week, everybody. They did. Kansas State beat Stanford in week 1. Stanford beat USC, everybody, okay? That's a great win for them looking also. Okay, so Kansas State, number 24 in the country. I'm ranking Texas again. I'm not dropping Auburn too much because it was a very close game. Then Michigan State goes on the road and beats Miami. BYU had a great win against Arizona State, and I'm moving my Michigan Wolverines, number 15, over Arkansas, over North Carolina, because I do think the Washington win might have been a better one than the Texas win for Arkansas. I think Michigan's a better team than Arkansas, in my opinion. I'm putting Florida at 13. They did way better than I expected against Alabama. Way better than expected. 12 Ole Miss, okay. I thought that game would be close. They won 61-21. And that was in the third quarter, everybody. Okay, Lane Kiffin, great game plan, great game by Matt Corral, the Heisman favorite so far right now. Okay, 11 Notre Dame got a big game this week coming up against Wisconsin. We're going to pick that later in the segment. Then we got 10 Ohio State after a rough game against Tulsa. Okay, Ohio State's number 10. 9 Texas A&M. Okay, just not a crazy convincing one, but good enough by Zach Calzada. Got a good game coming up this week. Got number 16 Arkansas in my rankings. 8 Clemson dropping them after that horrific game against Georgia Tech. 7 Iowa, 6 Penn State because they had a great win against Auburn. 5 Oregon. I'm not buying fully into the Oregon hype. I'm not buying into the Oregon College Football Playoff number 3 hype. And then 4 Cincinnati. I'm sticking with my Cincinnati pick at number 4, everybody. I am 3 Oklahoma, 2 Georgia, 1 Alabama. Maybe by the end of the year we see that, maybe later in the season we see that Georgia, Alabama switch a little bit. But that's about for my Schoolyard Sports. Lane Frank, top 25. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, we got our games of the week in college football, everybody. Let's all pay it to them. I won the lock of the week. I missed my lock of the week last week, but we're going to get it this week. North Carolina minus 12 against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost to Northern Illinois, everybody. Northern Illinois is not a good team. Northern Illinois is Rocky Lombardi at quarterback. Northern Illinois lost 63-10 against my Michigan Wolverines. This is not a good team, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost that Northern Illinois team. You could say, oh, Georgia Tech had a great game against Clemson last week. They only lost by a touchdown again. They were on the 1-yard line to win the game. It was a really bad game by Clemson. That's my takeaway from it. Not Georgia Tech playing well. Yeah, Jeff Collins had a good game plan. But North Carolina's going to blow his team out of the water. They're going to win by more than 12. North Carolina had a great game against Virginia last week. Virginia's a legit Heisman contending quarterback and Brandon Armstrong. North Carolina shut them all up. Okay, North Carolina is going to have a great game against Georgia Tech this week. Going to win by more than 12. He's going to maybe even win 38-7. Give me the Tar Heels in this one. Now, let's pick some of the games of the week and then we'll lead up to the game of the week, everybody. UCLA, Stanford, everybody. Give me Stanford losing in a close one, everybody. Okay, I'm going to have Stanford losing in a close one here against UCLA. This UCLA team's going to bounce back, but Stanford's going to play them tight. It's in Palo Alto. Okay, so it's going to be a good game for Stanford, but they're still going to lose. Stanford has a great win against USC. That's probably going to be their signature win of the season. It's okay, but that's going to be probably David Shaw's best win of the season. Okay, but that's about it for that game. I'm picking UCLA to win the game, but close. Now, Texas A&M versus Arkansas. Everybody, look out for KJ Jefferson, Arkansas quarterback, good quarterback. But Texas A&M is only giving up 5 points per game this season, everybody. You heard that right. Only giving up 5 points per game this season. Gave up nothing against New Mexico. Gave up only 7 points against Colorado. Everybody had a great week 1 game against Kent State, whatever you want to say about Haynes King. But they got Zach Calzada at quarterback now. I'm taking the Aggies in a close one here. It's in Fayetteville, but you could say, oh, I'm still taking the Aggies in this one. In Fayetteville. Give me the Aggies, everybody. Now, the game of the week, everybody. Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. We got this game at Wrigley Field, everybody. It's going to be a fun game at a baseball stadium at Wrigley Field. That's an interesting thing to think about. Neutral site, Jack Cohn, Notre Dame quarterback, making his return against Wisconsin. Don't forget, Jack Cohn would have been the starting quarterback of Wisconsin last year if he didn't break his foot. He was starting quarterback the year before and some of the parts the year before that. Jack Cohn was a good starting quarterback for Wisconsin. Okay, you could say, oh, Paul Chryst is going to game plan for him. No, Jack Cohn's going to come for his revenge. Going to come for his revenge game. Notre Dame's going to win this game. They're +6 against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's -6 in this game. But I'm taking Notre Dame +6 to win this game. I'm taking Notre Dame Fighting Irish, everybody. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. That's about for College Football Showcase this week. Now, what lane would I take, everybody? This week, on what lane would I take? It's about USC football, everybody. It's not going to be my top 5 head coaching candidates for USC football. Maybe we'll do that in a later episode. But this is my way to fix USC football. This is the lane I'm taking. Let's hop into it. I'm thinking James Franklin, perfect fit. Got charisma, like Joel Klatt says USC needs. Got good charisma. As you see them winning that game against Auburn, he's the high-energy coach. Okay, can build a crowd, can build a program, can build a culture. Brought Saquon Barkley. Brought Trace McSorley. Brought all these guys to Penn State. Had a great whiteout game against Auburn, everybody. He's a great coach, and I think he would leave Happy Valley. 4, USC, everybody. 4, LA. He fits LA. He's a great coach for USC, in my opinion. I think that is the perfect fit for USC football to hire James Franklin. But that's not the only tip, everybody. You build around Jackson Dart. Okay? Jackson Dart's a great quarterback. Okay? You say, oh, who's Jackson Dart? Okay, Keaton Slovis got hurt last week against Washington State, and they were down 14-0 when he got hurt. Jackson Dart came in, they won 35-14, 14, whatever it might have been. Jackson Dart changed that whole team, okay, in that one game. Okay, I am so high in Keaton Slovis. I was so high in Keaton Slovis. Let me restate that. I was so high in Keaton Slovis. Okay, last season I picked him to win the Heisman before the whole Pac-12 fell apart and everything. But I was so high in Keaton Slovis, but he was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. Jackson Dart was a 5-star recruit. I'm thinking about it now. Keaton Slovis held this team back in the Pac-12 championship game last year. They probably could have had a chance at the college football playoff last year if Keaton Slovis didn't hold them down because they would have been an undefeated team. But they didn't have Jackson Dart last year. He's a true freshman. Then Keaton Slovis goes down, and then they lose Stanford last week, maybe because of Keaton Slovis. Okay, it was obviously Clay Hill and a bunch of things. But then they're losing 14-0 against Washington State. And then Jackson Dart comes in after Keaton Slovis gets hurt and plays a great game. So you need to build around Jackson Dart, maybe Miller Moss, their back quarterback, also a true freshman, good quarterback. But for right now, build around Jackson Dart. Build a program around James Franklin, Jackson Dart. When James Franklin comes in next year, this could be like a 10-3 type of team. Okay, maybe a 2015 type of team with Michigan, because Michigan, Jim Harbaugh's first year in 2015 wasn't his team. Really, it was Brady Hoke's old team. But they still went 10-3 because Jim Harbaugh changed that culture that quick. That's what James Franklin can do in LA, everybody. Okay, that's what I think about USC football. I think Jackson Dart should be the starting quarterback of this team going forward. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. You know, it's tough to see Keaton Slovis like this. I love Keaton Slovis, but it's just tough to see him play bad like this. And that's why I think Jackson Dart's the right quarterback for this team, everybody. That's about for my USC. What lane would I take this week? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, question there, everybody. This week's question day is, what is your biggest takeaway so far from the NFL season? I gave my top 5 things I expect to see, top 5 things I didn't expect to see. Leave your answer in the comment section. What's your top takeaway so far that you've seen in the NFL season? Has it been, rookie quarterback struggling, like I said? Has been, Chiefs off to a rough start? Has it been something else? Leave your answer in the comment section. That's about for question this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports with Lanfrig, episode number 49. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Twitter at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. We'll be back next week in episode number 50. Everybody, stay tuned.